Hello, Imtiaz.
Hello, good morning, Pankaj. Many people are waiting for your podcast today.
Yeah, I'm nearly here. Yeah, I can't wait to speak to you. There are a lot of different areas that we need to cover. Yeah, just outside, on my way in. See you. So I think we have been doing podcasts for some time. Um, I think last time when we did our podcast with you, Imtiaz bhai, a lot of people who had, who we could have covered in different geographical location or different nationalities, just because we did it in regional language, which is Urdu or Hindi. So we thought it's better to kind of do it in English, so we have a better reach, because the issues that you are covering, I think it's not only just covered in our region, but you have many other nationalities or many other people who you're constantly dealing with. So hence the reason we decided we just give this a shot in English and get far better reach. So you can also tell that how you're helping not only just South Asian community but other community as well. So welcome, Imtiaz bhai.
At the outset, I must express my thanks to you, Pankaj, for having me for the second time today. It is a very good idea to speak in English today because currently we in IMK law have around clients from 80 to 100 different nationalities. And last time when the podcast was shot, many people they watched it even from those people, those countries who don't understand Hindi or Urdu. They still there was subtitles and they really enjoyed that. And I received plenty requests from clients that any other future podcast should be in English, so we can
Yeah.
watch it and we can enjoy and we can get information as well. What we need from you.
I hope I'm not speaking broken English. I don't think people judge me on my English if I'm going to do in English. Is it? I
Well,
won't be sued for that, will I? Imtiaz bhai.
well, first of all, English is not our own native language, and we will ask our audience to forgive us if there are
Grammatical
small
mistakes.
grammatical and there are some breakages. So we
Yeah,
apologize.
yeah.
But look, we'll try our best.
Yeah.
The whole point is it's not an English literature or
That's it.
English grammar program. It's all about giving information.
Yeah.
And we will try our best to pass our information in as clear manner as possible.
Yeah, yeah. And I think today we are color coordinated as well, Imtiaz bhai. We are both wearing pink, right?
Yeah,
That they
exactly.
like.
Well, when it comes to dresses, Pankesh, I'm really picky about dresses, and many clients they praise my selection of shirts I wear for my
Yeah.
work as well. So I'm very colorful. I like different colors. I like dresses. I like good accessories. I like nice shoes.
Yeah.
Nice
We all
dresses.
work hard for a reason, right? We all work hard so we can all afford these accessories and we can all afford these things. I mean, you were trying to help people, but at the same time, you have these areas that, you would want to also explore in terms of your liking of different brands or different things that you want to do in life other than work.
Well, let me tell you something. This just kind of we start with a kind of personal conversation. Well, of course you do work hard to make your living as best as possible. But when it comes to these things like selection of dresses, cars, accessories, lifestyle, it was always my fantasy.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever, even within limited means in the past, I would try to wear as good as possible.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that was always a fantasy. It didn't come from the profession, but
Yeah.
like it is. But I think that's your personality. It's always your look.
You need a motivation in your life to, if you want to do better. But if you have something that you visualize that this is what you want to achieve, these are the type of clothes you want to wear, then at least you have a goal that you're working towards, right? It helps. I'm not saying that this is the only goal why you became solicitor,
Well,
but that it's one of the reasons, right?
in fairness, your physical appearance is very, very important. So whenever people see you in nice appearance, nice attire, professional, it always give a good impression of you, your
Yeah.
personality.
You won't believe now. You may think that I'm making this up while we are speaking, and this is in no means body shaming or um, making judgment on anybody's personality. But it's proven that people who dresses nicely, who groom themselves, who are good looking, make 15% more money than people who don't. That's a fact.
let,
as well.
let, let me tell you something. It's a proven research that people with good personalities, good look, they are always more successful than those who don't look after
Yeah,
themselves. I don't call anybody ugly or maybe in bad shape. It is all about looking after yourself and not looking
just
after.
grooming
So
yourself. Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
differentiate between people who are looking after themselves and who don't. So
yeah.
those who look after themselves, they're always ahead of those who don't.
Who don't? Yeah,
So
yeah,
that is the research, the proven one. There's lots of research conducted about the personalities of
yeah.
human being, and that's the reality.
That's the
Pankish, we,
reality.
we
Yeah,
we urge everybody to look after themselves, be in a good shape, wear nice
yeah.
clothes, go to gym, enjoy your life. Life is short. Yeah.
So you have healthy lifestyle. Your firm is busy. You're traveling as well. So what's next then? If you've got, is there any other motivation that you're working towards?
Well, I think the only motivation, well, those things are ancillaries. My primary motivation is that through my profession, I want to help my communities, Indian, Pakistani, other international communities living in Ireland. That's my primary. Ancillary to those things, of course, you travel,
Yeah.
you live normal life. Though the professional life is very, very busy, but we still try to do a bit for ourselves as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, great. Look, I think you and me, we both live in Lucan. We let's come to a professional bit now. I didn't expect that we would be talking so long about the personal life. Something you probably wouldn't have told me if we were sitting. Generally, you would only, I get things like that sometime from people on podcasts, and I'm wondering, I know this person for so long, they've never told me about all these things, and now suddenly you're hearing all this, so it's good to know. But anyways, we are in Lucan now. That's where we have our the biggest South Asian community or international community who resides here, right? I think where we are sitting now, Edric, they've only just built like 6,000 homes recently, and there is a plan to build another 4,000, right? And I think what we also want to do through this podcast, we want to just focus on one area rather than just kind of going through and exploring thousands of areas in law that you can possibly discuss, right? So we'll focus on the community that's in Lucan, and when the community moves, they also have their challenges in terms of it's only the parents who are here managing kids by themselves. Sometimes the thing is that they would want their kids to grow with their grandparents. Sometimes they would just need a support because the family is working and creche is closed or the school is closed for a few months. So I think what's missing is having kids grandparents, or for the couple to have their parents over. I know there is a provision called Stamp Zero, but whoever you speak to, I think they're a little bit skeptical as to how to progress with that stamp. So maybe, first of all, I think maybe you want to give people a little understanding what Stamp Zero stands for and how long has it been there, and if there are any changes lately to that particular stamp.
Well, there are different provisions for legal residents in Ireland. Irish nationals or citizens or European citizens who are living and working in Ireland. The first one which you ask is stamp zero. So this particular stamp has been in existence for over 5 years now. It was introduced back in 2018-19, especially for the dependent parents of Irish citizens who are naturalized citizens from South Asia or other countries who are living in Ireland. They had their difficulties obtaining visit visas for only 90 days, and they would leave the country again. There's particular difficulties, so thankfully this scheme was launched to keep the parents on the long-term basis. So the requirements are quite straightforward when it comes to SEM zero. It is you must have income of 75,000 if you are sponsoring both parents, and that income must be in last 3 years. So 75,000 net each last 3 years. And interestingly, people think that we don't qualify because I don't have 75,000 net. But it's not that individual. If you are living as a couple, for example, your husband wife, you are both working, so you can be co-sponsors, or even say for argument's sake that your jobs are not as as high skills and you are getting low paid. If you're if you're another family member, like say you have a cousin, brother, or sister, whoever is living in the state with employment, you can have combined sponsor from 2 to 3, 4, 5, whatever, to meet the criteria of 75,000. So like I'll give you example that I did use maybe 3 or 4 sponsor for one applicant, and
Okay.
they were granted. So people misconstrue the whole the requirements. So we get these inquiries time and again. People think that I, as an individual, must have this 75,000, but that's not the case. I encourage people who have other family members to make them co-sponsor. Yeah, the work involves a bit more if you are bringing co-sponsors because you need same information from all the sponsors, and then there's obligation as well because those co-sponsors they have to enter into a formal agreement with the state or with the Minister of Justice, where they will all be obliged to comply with those conditions under which certain stem zero has been granted.
Yeah, no, I think it all sounds good and rosy, that you can have multiple sponsors who can be sponsoring parents. I think it's 75,000 to bring, is that after tax to bring both parents, or is it 75,000 to bring one person?
Okay, so let me clarify it further. So 75,000 net is for two parents and 60,000 is for one parent.
Okay,
So for argument, say that you are sponsoring only your mother, it's 60,000. Or father,
60,000.
or if you
Yeah.
are combinedly sponsoring both of them together, it is 75,000 per year
Okay.
net.
So if you have like, so what I'm hearing is if your brothers living here, or if you have brother or sister living here, then you can both combine your incomes together and still bring them over. Does
Yeah,
that have to be a blood relation, or it can be just be cousins, or can be non-blood related friends or family as well?
absolutely. It could be any family member. I'll say that you can't make your friend a sponsor, but you can make any relative like cousin, cousin son,
Yeah.
first cousin, second cousin. It doesn't matter as long as you can prove the familial link with that sponsor,
Yeah.
and that family member is willing to sign a formal agreement.
But then you also have, like, let's say if you're getting into agreement this with your cousin, right? And if the situation changes 2 years down the line, where this cousin also wants to bring their parents, right? But only one person can only sponsor one dependent. They can't have multiple dependents with that income, right?
Yeah, well, that's the case actually. But say that the circumstances changes for a person who is a sponsor to STEM Zero. All you need to do to inform the Minister of Justice that this particular person is withdrawing his sponsorship, and now the people who sponsor parents, they have enough income, which cumulatively is 75,000. So that's all. You can withdraw anytime, and you can make a new sponsorship for your other dependent family members.
Yeah.
So these are technical, small technicalities which are not covered by the law or the policy, but as a matter of common sense, you can do it that way.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I think a lot of people last time, even when you came on my podcast, a lot of people were discussing that, right? Because um, I don't think many people know that you can actually combine income of different individuals to bring your parents over. So I think people would really like the idea that you can. There is a possibility to do that.
Yeah, let me add something here, Pankaj. That we I want to let your audience know that these policies are laws or regulation. They normally don't cover everything what you're looking for. All you need a good, sensible approach to everything. So if you're a good, sensible, professional solicitor who can lead your case, or you kind of follow common sense. So the authorities, they're very flexible.
Yeah.
If you are a genuine applicant and you are genuinely in need or qualifying for something, Irish authorities are very good. They're very accommodating, and they always grant you your application.
Yeah, I think the other big issue which I am preempting is then if you have a parent who are sick, who are medically not well, and then you want to bring them over here, they might not get a medical insurance back home just because they're already so ill, and the insurance companies know they are already liability for them. So they may not be eligible to get an insurance in the first place. And what happens in those cases? Like, can they still pay maybe a very large premium and get them over here? Because I think the insurance is the mandatory prerequisite, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So your question, what I understand is that in case somebody has a pre-existing condition before arriving in Ireland, and it becomes practically hard
Get a
to
medical
get
insurance.
medical because of course insurance company will not be willing to get the liabilities which pre-existing conditions. What I believe it is primary requirement, and most people they manage to get even if you have pre-existing condition, but the premium is a lot different than a person who doesn't have pre-existing
Yeah,
conditions.
yeah.
But it's a bit unfortunate that some people they have pre-existing condition and they still have to comply with the condition of uh, having health insurance that is mandatory, and you must have it and you must maintain it for the time of your stay in Ireland before even every year you are
You would have to
required to
renew
renew.
it.
And the department, what department is looking, primarily they're looking at your insurance
Yeah,
more than your income.
yeah, yeah,
Especially when you arrive in the state and you don't maintain your insurance, then it is not possible for you to renew your permission.
yeah,
But my personal knowledge is that I urge everybody to buy private health insurance. It is extremely, extremely important for you when you're living in Ireland to have your private health insurance, your life insurance, your income protection. All those things they are very, very helpful. And anything, God forbid, anything goes wrong, the help is there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm urging everybody to buy different type of insurances to keep
yeah,
themselves covered in
yeah.
Ireland.
The other thing we want to cover is the length of the stamp zero. I'm still perplexed as to, why would you have like 1 year? Because you have to then process every year the person's visa, and how long usually does it take? Is it very straightforward of you renew it online, or do you still have to go through the whole paperwork?
Well, in my personal opinion, I see it's a bit of a harsh kind of policy that every year you'll have to provide the same documentation, and what you end up getting 1 year permission. When you're renewing it, the appointment take maybe 2 to 3 months. When you're getting your card, it's already halfway in the year. So I personally think it's a bit harsh. The department should review this, and at least this permission should be granted for 3 years rather than 1 year. Let me give you an example. Recently, a client of mine particularly requested me that even though that I'm not looking for a different stamp, but request the minister to grant us 3 years
Yeah.
instead of a year.
Stamp
Because
zero or a
stamp,
different stamp?
stamp zero. So
Okay.
I did make a request to the minister, but unfortunately, the reply was that the policy does not allow any longer than a
It's
year
not
permission.
flexible, yeah.
Yeah, because we will have to reassess this documentation.
Yeah.
And the reason they gave short period that the minister want to make sure that there is a compliance with the condition under which this particular stamp was granted, because there are stringent conditions to comply with, and the insurance of compliance with those conditions are critical for the renewal.
Yeah. um I know, like the health insurance is one area that they definitely need to comply with, right? Because what the state doesn't want it to become like the person who's coming from outside to become a liability. Is there any other requirements that's one need to comply, other than obviously showing your salary? But is there any other like must requirement that comes with it?
Well, those you mentioned are primary requirements. You must fulfill them. The secondary one are that those parents must be your dependent. Their dependency doesn't mean that you send them money. It could be emotional dependency,
Yeah.
and there is sort of regular contact or communication between you and the parents. That there's no familial breaking of relation or something.
Yeah.
So all you have to prove that they're your dependent emotionally or financially, and
Yeah.
they can survive on you within your means.
Yeah.
Those are the most important points.
But how does it work? Let's say if I have parents, and then my partner or my spouse would also have parents, and we both want our parents to come over here. How does it work? Like, can you then your requirement goes up to 150,000 after tax, because it's 75,000 for a couple.
Yeah, well, that's the case actually, because it is all about your net income. If you are bringing two people, it is 75,000. Of course, if you are bringing four, so it will be doubled.
Double,
In
yeah.
a sense that you will have to provide for these parents, dependent parents, and your means are very, very important for the state,
Yeah.
because the state does not want to take responsibility of your dependent parents who are non-EU national.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the case. Normally, I would say that if you have, as I mentioned in the beginning, that you can find multiple sponsor like your cousin or brother or other family member legally living in Ireland,
Yeah.
just to bring your parents.
But let's say if you're working and you're both making 75, or if between you you're both making 75,000 after tax, your parents are living here. Next month their visa is due to renew. One person loses their job. Now the household income is 60,000. Is there a grace period that parents get for the other person to find a job, or is it, do they have to come back and then start the process again? Because I believe having to apply for stamp zero is already a very lengthy process to begin with, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, when it comes to requirement, it's quite straightforward. Like if you lose your job, for example, during the existence of STEM zero for your parent, then all you're required to inform the minister of change of circumstances. That's a utmost important thing for you, that the minister is aware of your personal circumstances, financial circumstances, and they do allow you to keep your parents, because once your parent is in a state, the minister will not ask them to leave or will issue deportation order, as long as there is a compliance with the condition. But the whole idea is the minister must be aware of the
I
whole
mean, how long
financial
can they be
personal.
aware? Like, I mean, let's say if the person doesn't get a job for a year, like, there has to be like certain hard stop.
Well, if you don't make any, like say that if the parents continue to be living within the means you have, like say your spouse is working and she has income of 50,000, but you are still managing to live within that means, and there is no claims made, there is no reliance made on social welfare or public funds or public resources, then the minister is quite lenient. They,
Yeah.
they will normally continue the permission.
Okay. So as long as you're not engulfed in any offenses, or anybody has not done anything peculiar to stir up the, as they say, stir up the shit, then you should be okay.
Well, you don't pose any burden on the public resources or public funds. I think the ratio of those things like crimes or those is very, very low when it comes to dependent parents.
Yeah.
The whole idea is not to pose burden to public resources or public funds.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't think, again, we keep on saying don't pose any liabilities on government, or you don't pose extra burden on government. I don't think Stamp Zero, they're entitled to pension or any, are they entitled to any public health services? I know you're covered through insurance, but what happens if one person gets sick and you call an ambulance and they've been taken to the government hospital, then they charge you, and then you charge through your health insurance, or do they get any benefits other than just being in this country?
Well, the basic definition of STEM zero is it is very clear from the word zero. It comes with a zero benefits. When you buy your private health insurance, it does cover all your health needs in the state,
Yeah,
though it
yeah.
come through public hospital or private. So what happened normally, if say that God forbid somebody fainted in the house who is a dependent parent and they have a private health insurance, so the first thing that um, the ambulance arrived, they pick them to the hospital local by. So the minute they go to A&E, the first question they ask that the person has insurance or not. So the minute they see the person is covered by a particular insurance company, it's just logged in a system. And then
Yeah.
the hospital send a bill to the patient and the insurance company at the same time, and the insurance cover all the expenses. That's how it works. So it doesn't matter wherever you get your treatment from it is either
Yeah. So
either
it
private
is,
or public, but it is
yeah.
covered.
It's zero from the government, but it's one from the private
It,
health
it, is, it, it
insurance.
is a, it is not a, it is a plus from, yeah, I'll call it plus. Yeah, I'll give you example. One of my client who had private health insurance, and he recently God gave him a jannah. He passed away a few days ago.
Okay.
But he fainted in Canada actually, and thankfully his son was very intelligent. He bought his travel insurance before travel. So an air ambulance was arranged for him to ship him back to Ireland. and that cost over $100,000 maybe to ship him to Ireland. So always see, that's the example I'm giving you. That's insurance benefits you can get.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. And I think, you know, um, even when you're getting insurance, lately I was watching some documentary about some footballer who got an insurance, but then he didn't mention his predefined illness to the insurance people, and his insurance got voided. So I think it's again, we keep coming back to these insurance, and reason being, a lot of people try to think that by lying to the insurance people, they're getting cheaper insurance, but that insurance worth nothing. So
Yeah, well,
always make sure
I
that you give them the exact right scenario of what your current situation is.
I want to expand on this point a little bit, that either it's an oversight or it's a deliberate concealment of fact. Once you buy insurance with certain information given, those information are logged in a system. And if it turn out to be different case in future, you are not covered by insurance. I'll give
Yeah.
you an example. A few years back, a client of mine instructed me, who unfortunately, whose mother passed away, and his father and mother had a mortgage and they had a life policy. But unfortunately, when they were filling out a form for a policy, they forgot to mention the pre-existing conditions to her heart-related condition, which they failed to disclose on the form, and she unfortunately passed away. And then the life cover was not given to her,
Yeah.
and it was very unfortunate. I'm sure they did not do it deliberately. For them, it was a small thing, not to take a box. It was like yes,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. But then they get you to sign it, and in the gray area, there is a lot of
And we
terms and
failed.
condition.
We
Yeah,
failed. We failed to materialize on that insurance policy,
yeah,
and it was very clear that she forgot, or it was a mistake from her part to take a box. It was only taking a box exercise. She didn't
yeah,
do it deliberately,
yeah.
but it
That's why
happened.
we
And
get a lot of documents from a lot of different people, and sometimes we just think, you know, it's about just signing some document, but I think it's always to thoroughly go through what's specially written in the asterisks or in the gray, because that's the most important part. Not the one which is in bold, because they want you to read it. It's the one in the grayed out, or it's in the light handwriting, isn't it?
well, something could be only a ticking box exercise, but the implication of that is so huge. You only realize it when something goes
If
wrong.
something goes
So
wrong.
I always advise my client to be frank, be honest, be upfront. And there is any mistake, even if you say you submit a form and there is a mistake made, and at some stage you realize that I've made this mistake, make a written informative letter to the certain insurance company or whoever. Inform them of your mistake so you are
Yeah.
covered properly. It's just not a disappointment you get at the end.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's happening around us quite a lot, and I'm sure you're well abreast of the situation, that a lot of couples getting separated, or they're getting divorced. Um, that seems to be becoming quite a common scenario, even in Ireland, even in many different communities, which you would not expect them to be, separating out. But situation happens, and sometimes you have control, sometimes you don't have control. Now, if the parents are over here, and if the couple decides to separate, or if the couple has a serious fight at home, and then they call the guard saying, look, I don't want his or her parents, and they're just pointing each other and trying to kind of create a problem for elderly parents, are there any protection for these elderly parents, or are there any scenarios where dispute can be resolved amicably? What happens in those cases?
Yeah, well, first of all, as you mentioned rightly, that there is a sort of surge in family law issues, especially in our South Asian communities, and we get lots of inquiries from couples where they fall out, where they have issues with each other, and poor parents who are dependent, they're sort of in the line of fire as well.
Yeah,
So it is happening a lot. The reality is that parents, everybody is protected in Ireland legally. Even though you are dependent parents or you are an independent person, you are legally protected. Your wealth, your health, your safety, your
is the
everything is,
primary
yeah,
concern. Yeah.
it is it's a primary concern of the state to protect. In a situation like that, as long as a parent is not a threat to that, to any person in that couple, they
Yeah.
are protected. Uh,
But what
but
happens? Are they taken to a shelter place, or they're still allowed to stay there and given a warning? Have you had cases? Because it's I know it's an unusual scenario, but I think we are just trying to prepare our audience. If situations like that happen, then at least they can refer to this video.
Well, in fairness, I haven't dealt with a situation like that. But if say there is an issue
Couple.
with a couple, the parents are unimpacted by that in the eyes of law,
Yeah.
because it's a issue between individual. So
Yeah.
parents have nothing got to do with the issues between the couples. So I personally think that they can legally stay in that house where they are, and nobody can expel them from their
From
shelter.
their shelter. Yeah. Yeah. No, good. I was feeling a little bit tired, even though we had a coffee. I just felt that we needed a little bit of stroll to keep us going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice and fresh today, and
Yeah.
I like outdoor anyway.
That's the
Personally,
freshest you get in Ireland.
exactly.
19 degrees is the summer, and it's over.
If you're lucky, otherwise
Lucky.
otherwise it's hard to get 19 even.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It requires a good luck. Well, there are two topics which I realize normally: weather and holidays. These are
Yeah.
the most discussed topics. Irish people like holidays, and they like to talk about weather. These two
Yeah.
things are most talked topic in Ireland. In our immigrant communities, yeah, it's about work, and plus their issues like visas issues
challenges,
and the
yeah,
challenges they face here, and rightly so. If you are immigrant background, you face lots of challenges in Ireland.
Yeah.
Immigration law is not easy; it's tough, and people do face challenges.
I think, we talked about, of course, Stamp Zero is one of the avenues that parents can use to come here. But I think in a lot of cases, the parents are young. Parents are in a situation where they can also work. They are still healthy. So stamp is there any other stamp that they can also apply, like stamp 4, that is also an option for them to go for?
Yeah, well, if they're young, for example, they can come as a worker.
Yeah.
They can come on a critical skill, general skill, so they're not dependent, and they don't have to comply with those stringent requirements.
If somebody who's here, um, and then they want their parents, again, as I said, healthy, um, they can obviously still get their parents to apply for this usual stamp 4 route as well, where they apply for like a general skill permit or critical work permit. But that there is no, I don't think there is any age limit that you can apply your work permits until.
Well, there is not, but common sense prevails all the time. So, say, like, for example, if a 70% old aged applicant from India says that I'm coming to do farming in Ireland, will that make any sense? No. So common
Yeah.
sense prevails. Yeah, if the parents are young, say their 50s or 60s, and they want to work and they come as a independent, not a dependent then anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's how it works.
Okay, very good. Is it not like a double standards then? Because you're not giving the same service to somebody who's contributing to taxes here, who wants to bring their parents, who has worked so hard, and somebody who has come from outside just because they hold a different passport. You're giving them a different treatment.
You asked me a very interesting question. I'm a specialized in European law. I did my specialization, and I have a huge interest in European law and all the European regulations. So when I read about these things, some commentator call it as reverse discrimination. And interestingly, some of the member states, say Romania and France, they apply the European directive on their own citizens as well.
Oh, they do?
They do, but not Ireland. So in some countries, yes, even if you are in, say, a French national living in France, they apply European law on you rather than their own national law to give you the full benefits of European law. But that's not the case in Ireland, because
Can you not bring that case then? Just bring that case. Look, when these other countries who are well established, who are in Western Europe, if they are being able to implement it, why not you?
it is again a very interesting
And
topic.
then it will be called an Imtiaz regulation.
It is another interesting aspect of law that normally a directive which comes from European law, there is a procedure of transposition to your national law. So there is certain liberty for for a member state to transpose that particular directive into their national law. So the transposition is at liberty of the member states. So Ireland has that liberty or the freedom to transpose that European directive a
Yeah.
certain way to their national law.
But it has to be passed by. It has to be passed by the House.
It has come through regulation. It's not an act. So it is at the moment it's called Freedom of Movement Regulation 2015. So it's a regulation. It's not an act. So it doesn't have to go to Parliament because it's a European directive.
Okay. Because I'm always puzzled. Like you give somebody who's coming from abroad, who's never contributed, who may be a criminal in the other country, who still can travel because it's within EU, and you give their relatives or dependents much further or much better treatment than you would to somebody who's here, who's paying taxes, who's been a law-abiding citizen. It just, if you as you said before, common sense prevails. It's not prevailing here too much, is it?
Well, it is the principle of supremacy when it comes to European law. As I mentioned, that European law has a supremacy over national law. That's the case. I call it fortunately and unfortunately, whatever you call it. As I said, that some legal commentator, they call it as a reverse discrimination. But in some sense, it is good for some people, but not for others. So EEA, like the like of Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and Norway, they're not part of European Union, but they're part of EEA. So the European directive, which is called Directive 2004/38 EC, it covers the EEA nations.
Now you're throwing in numbers. You're trying to make yourself look even smarter.
Well, as I mentioned to you, I have a huge interest in European law.
Yeah.
And in fairness, I specialized in this area, and I take huge interest when it comes to European law. I've been studying it for last nearly 12 to 15 years.
Yeah.
So of course, if you've been studying such a topic for such a huge time, then you remember these things like on the top of your head.
This number only recalls me of all the money that I owe to the bank.
Well, look, everybody owes something to somebody, don't we? We are all on the same boat. We do owe, somebody owe to revenue, somebody owe to banks. So we are all on the same boat.
No, we are very law-abiding citizens. I don't only owe to the bank legally. Nothing illegal here. No revenue involved.
No, but revenue, well, you do owe sometime because revenue, you have to pay your income taxes, and sometimes it's a lot more than your,
And we have covered a lot about parents, how we can bring them, what are the implications, what are the different areas that they can travel here. Like, are there any rejection cases that you have handled lately? And then, you have taken them to court that the rejection was on unfair ground? Or what was the reason? Has anything happened like that lately?
Plenty of them. We do challenge them now and again, and especially when it comes to IMK law, we are the leading solicitor in an asylum list, which is immigration high court list for it's the fourth year we are leading. We are number one for last 4 years in a number of challenges we brought against the minister, refusing different type of applications. And
we only bring top guys to our podcast. So we are number one podcast to bring number one people.
It is purely attributed to the hard work of our litigation team. I have a huge litigation team. It's comprised of very well-known counsels, senior counsel, barristers in Ireland. They are connected to my office, and they do lead us on all these complex areas of law. Interestingly, we got a referral to European Court of Justice recently. So
we discussed that.
But
anyway, what is the situation with what are the biggest reasons why the stamp zero get rejected?
Well, normally it is financial criteria. In most cases, people don't qualify. That's the only reason we get normally. And we do make applications sometime when there is a lack of financial resources. We still argue that these applications should be granted on exceptional grounds. But the minister do have a discretion then when it comes to not fulfilling the criteria.
I'm not trying to show one country in much more privileged area than the other, but I've also seen from my experience, and I think it's no point brushing it under the carpet, that when people are applying these kind of things from India, it's relatively faster if you're applying it from Pakistan. So is there a reason, or do you find in many cases that it takes much longer if they are coming from um, Pakistan than India? It's a much faster process. Or what is your uptake like? Is it or is it same process, same timeline, everything is same?
It is more administrative than anything else. If you compare Pakistan and India, for example, India has Irish embassy, which is well established with a full team, the visa office and everything. Pakistan doesn't.
So
So
all
when
the
it comes
cases
to
come
administer,
here.
all those applications have to travel all the way through VFS to Dublin, and then Dublin office, visa office is extremely busy. They look after many countries, and naturally things will take longer. So I don't see it as a discriminatory in any way. It is only administrative. And
Is
but the good
administrative.
news is now for all Pakistani who are listening to us that Irish embassy is being open. What I found out that they will be fully operational in Pakistan in September October this year. So it's a good news for Pakistanis, and hopefully that will not only strengthen the link between two countries, but it will also help fast just to fast track all those applications.
Accelerate the
And yeah,
process, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, there,
Yeah.
there are delays from Pakistani applicant. We do appreciate that, but it's administrative rather than anything else. People paint it with different
Yeah,
colors, but
yeah,
it's not the
yeah.
case.
No, it's not. It's nothing to do with this. I think it's more to do with anytime I've seen any of my friends from Pakistan, and they've told me, the challenges that they're facing in terms of the time frame when they apply and when they receive the approval is always a lot longer. Like when I say lot longer, not by 1 or 2 weeks, by like months. So maybe it's the cases that I'm hearing, but it's not the case normally.
Yeah, well, I'll say again, it's administration rather than anything else. That's all.
Okay, very good. I think a lot of people would appreciate all the knowledge they'll get from this, because now people have built their career, they have built a good life, they have built their family, and I think if they can hear this and learn other ways to even bring their extended family over, I think they would highly appreciate it. So, Imtiaz bhai, always a pleasure. I think the men in black can say bye to each other now, or men in pink and black.
Well, thanks very much for having me today. It's very useful for the communities. And
Yeah.
the other thing, what I finally want to mention, that whatever we discuss in today's podcast, not a legal advice, it's only information we are sharing with you. And if you are looking for legal advice, you can meet your local solicitors, or you can contact IMK Law
And if you
for
say,
further information or
yeah,
legal advices. These are all information rather than legal advice.
yeah, no, I think it's a very good point. So I think every case is different. So you should not take it as a very generic advice and apply it in all the cases.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a very touchy topic for a lot of people, because a lot of people would have dependent parents who they want to bring them here, and they find it very painful to be able to not live with their parents and be able to then travel back and forth if they are not in a great health as well. So I think this would definitely shed a lot more light than what's available in open domain. So thank you,
Thanks very
Imtiaz bhai.
much. Once again,
Once
thanks,
again,
Pankaj.
thank you.
Good luck.